Here's what's coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report. We have some positive news to get to on the Niners injury front. The Seattle Seahawks going into Thursday Night Football are extremely banged up. How does all of this impact what is a crucial game for San Francisco, a massive game for Seattle? And Nick Bosa called it a must-win earlier this week. Before we explore all of this and have a great show for all of you, be sure to hop on board right now and hit that subscribe button, especially if you want informative, insightful, entertaining, and thought-provoking Niners coverage every single day on the largest independently run Niners channel here on YouTube. Do you want to be a part of the largest Niners community here on these internet streets? 144,589 people worldwide are subscribed to this show since the start of the season. 6,800 people have hopped on board. And our goal is to get to 150,000 subscribers. Let's get there. I know we can do it. Off the injury report for the Niners, meaning these players are full go for Thursday Night Football. George Kittle, who is dealing with a rib injury. Fred Warner, who is dealing with an ankle ailment from when he suffered that injury against the New England Patriots 2 weeks ago. He still played against Arizona, but looked a little bit off. Ji'Ayir Brown also with an ankle injury, and Jacob Cowing off the injury report as well with that shoulder injury that he's been dealing with over the last couple of weeks. It's, of course, massive for this Niners passing game for Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy to get George Kittle back. And on top of him being still an elite pass-catching tight end, he is a great blocker at that position. And as we know, the Niners have some issues with their pass protection and at times run blocking. And Kittle through the air is off to another great start. After last year, he was a first-team All-Pro and was the only tight end in the National Football League to have more than 1,000 receiving yards. He's been targeted 29 times. He's caught 23 of those passes. He has 225 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, 9.8 yards per catch, and a passer rating when targeted of 119.1. Brock Purdy has had to work on his trust with Brandon Ayuk, and up until last week, that trust wasn't there. He's had that trust with George Kittle since Purdy became this team's starting quarterback. They have just been an elite 1-2 punch in the pass game for the Niners. And George Kittle, always ready for the big moment, always embracing the big stage and the bright lights. He said earlier this week that playing in Seattle, Lumen Field, one of his favorite places to play because it's loud. These two teams hate one another, and it's a great rivalry. It is just that. As for Fred Warner, it's good that he's off the injury report. That means that this ankle injury isn't lingering any further. And going into last week's game against the Arizona Cardinals, I had explained why I thought Fred Warner, up to that juncture of the season, was the Defensive Player of the Year. These numbers are spectacular. They are superb. Whichever word you want to use, Fred Warner has been, is, and continues to be elite. An overall Pro Football Focus grade of 94.1. A coverage grade of 93.5. It really doesn't get better than that. A run defense grade of 80.7. And he's been such an impactful player with causing destruction with impactful plays. 3 forced fumbles, a sack, and how about that pick 6 that he had a couple of weeks ago against the New England Patriots? A couple of interceptions this year. He has 2. We have 1 there. Don't kill us for that mistake. But a passer rating allowed of 58. So when he gets targeted in coverage, Fred Warner is shutting that pass play down. It's also good that Ji'Ayir Brown is healthy. The 49ers did place Talanoa Hufanga on injured reserve with the wrist injury. I had mentioned that as a possibility during last night's show, and the Niners move forward with that. It's the right move to make. Don't occupy a roster spot. He has a couple of torn ligaments in that wrist. It's unfortunate for him, but it's the best move for this football team because, you know, he's already going to be out about a month regardless. As for Ji'Ayir Brown, he was one of my breakout players going into this year. He can be better. This Niners defense can be better. The Niners defensive coaching can be better. Ji'Ayir Brown has been caught in a couple of spots where the communication has been off. And as a safety, sometimes that's your job with some of these blown assignments. I do think there's a better football player in there than the overall PFF grade of 57, a pass rush grade of 52, run defense grade of 58.5, and a coverage grade of 57.1. The Niners who were out for this game against Seattle. Talanoa Hufanga, of course, will not play. Jake Moody with that high ankle sprain. Jordan Elliott, a good run-stuffing defensive tackle, continues to have that bothersome knee injury. And then Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who's more of a special teams linebacker, but has gotten some coverage snaps as well out of this game with a calf injury. My keys to the game for the Niners to pull out a win. And by the way, if you want a full-blown, in-depth preview, that video is already up here on the channel. Be sure to check it out. The Niners have to finish inside the red zone. They're not doing a good enough job of punching the ball into the paint and putting 7 points on the board. Instead, they're settling for 3. They are 29th in red zone efficiency this year, which means when they get inside the red area, they're one of the worst teams at being able to manufacture touchdowns when inside the 20. Niners are going to have to stop the run game. Seattle's had a lot of success, and the Niners have struggled in trying to stop the run. And they also have to tackle better. 12 missed tackles last week is just disgusting. Can't have secondary breakdowns against a Seattle offense that features DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Tyler Lockett, one of the top wide receiver trios in the NFL. The turnover battle will be crucial. The Niners as a team have turned it over 10 times this year. 3 of them came against Arizona. That was their undoing. Matthew Wright, the new kicker for the Niners, can't get nervous. He misses a couple of field goals. That's what gets the fan base riled up at Lumen Field. Got to pressure Geno Smith. He has run a lot this year, and he's run to great levels of success. So just like against Kyler Murray, where the Niners had to have disciplined pass rush lanes, they're going to have to do the same with Geno Smith, because if he can get outside of the pocket, he can make plays improvisationally and out of structure. And as we know, Kyler Murray had that explosive run for a touchdown last week. Find success on the ground. We're going to talk about that coming up. Niners, I want to see the pass game go through Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Jawan Jennings. San Francisco can't choke away another L, especially going 0-3 in the division if they lose this game. And the offensive line has to bring it against a good defense, but a banged-up defense for Seattle, and we're about to dive into that coming up around the corner. I first want you, though, to predict the score. Niners, Seahawks, I gave you my score prediction in the preview video, so again, be sure to check that out. Also, check out the Game Time app. If you want to go to Niners, Seahawks in Seattle, Thursday Night Football, you can find tickets on the Game Time app, the best app in the ticketing marketplace. Why? Because you can simply get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, and Game Time specializes in last-minute tickets because prices drop as the event gets closer. I love the technology and the user experience on this app because you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, and the view from that seat, it is awesome because you know what to expect when you arrive to the game. But thanks to Game Time Picks, this is not just an app to go to sporting events. Curation makes it easier to find tickets to sporting events, comedy shows, concerts, and theater events. And we have a great deal for the Bang Bang Niner gang. You can get $20 off when you use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only. What time is it? Game time. What time is it on today's show? To talk about the Seattle Seahawks. They're getting some pretty terrible news going into this Thursday night tilt. They are injured, and the scheduling gods did not help them out. This will be Seattle's 3rd game in 11 days. That hasn't helped them being injured. Seahawks who are out. Some marquee players here. First-round pick defensive tackle Byron Murphy dealing with a hamstring injury. Linebacker Uchenna Nwosu, thigh. He re-aggravated that injury last week against New York. And then Tariq Woolen is out because of an ankle injury. There are 3 Seahawks players who are questionable. That includes linebacker Derek Hall, foot, safety Julian Love, hamstring, and linebacker Boye Mafe with the knee. And there are other players on this injury report on top of the players who are out and questionable. Let's talk about the impact of a couple of these players. For Murphy, the 16th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft out of Texas, he is a physical player, good athlete who can give the interior offensive line issues. And as we know, this Niners offensive line has had a lot of issues. Murphy as a prospect at Texas, and we've seen glimpses of this at the NFL level, can stuff the run and stuff the pass. So he's a good player who will not play in this game. It's an unfortunate loss for the Seahawks. As for Nwosu, he's only played 10 pass rush snaps and 10 run defense snaps this year, and then re-aggravated that thigh injury. He has been good this year at stuffing the run, a Pro Football Focus run grade of 71.9. And with him being out and the Seahawks, as I mentioned, already being really injured, this hurts the overall depth of an already banged up defensive unit. This is a team that's pretty healthy on the offensive side of the ball. Mike McDonald's specialty is on the defense, but we haven't really seen what this defense can fully do because they have been so injured. As for Tariq Woolen, fantastic corner. The Seahawks hit on this player in the NFL draft a couple of years ago. He's off to a really good start this season, really good in coverage. I just like what he brings to the table as far as athleticism, physicality, ball skills, and just sticking with some of the top wideouts in the game. Overall PFF grade this year of 76.9. Pretty good at playing the run, 70.5. Coverage grade, again, that's his specialty. That's what he's used for, 76.1. He has 1 pick and a passer rating when targeted of 49.5. So obviously, this will help out, or at least make it easier for the Niners to get it going throwing the football with Brock Purdy coming off a down game. And you're going to see Devin Witherspoon step up into that number 1 corner role. And a couple of weeks ago, he really struggled against the Detroit Lions. But a key to this game, as I mentioned, for the Niners is running the football. Last week, the game plan made no sense. The Cardinals were atrocious against the run. The Niners went pass happy. Will Kyle Shanahan double back on that or double down on that? Rush play percentage. This means the percentage of time that teams will run the football against Seattle, 45.1%. But the Seahawks are giving up 4.5 yards per carry. That's 18th in the NFL. And they're giving up 128 rushing yards per game. That is 20th. So Jordan Mason should be able to have another successful game, as he's been one of the top running backs in the NFL. And going back to the pass-run discrepancy and the overall percentage, the Niners are throwing the ball this year at a 52.3% clip, and they're running it at a 47.6% clip. And some offensive observations that I have, the Niners struggle to pass protect. San Francisco's wide receivers are not separating. They're dead last in wide receiver separation this year. And Kyle Shanahan sometimes, for whatever reason, can get too pass happy in a run-centric offense. So in this game against the Seahawks, I want to see the Niners emphasize running it. They need to run it successfully, and that could set up the pass for Brock Purdy against a banged-up defense. And it makes Brock Purdy's job easier because yards after the catch has been an issue for the Niners this year. In 2023 and in previous years, it has been a massive strength. Last year, the Niners were 5th in generating yards after the catch. That's play design, that is play calling, that's accuracy from the quarterback, putting the ball where a receiver can catch it and run it, but it's also wide receiver target separation. The Niners are not getting that this year, and that's why that number has dropped all the way down to 29th. And specifically, you know how Deebo Samuel has been deemed the Yak King? Well, Deebo is having yak problems. This is his yards after the catch over expectation and where he's ranked in previous years. In 2020, plus 4.4, that was first. In 2021, plus 5.2, first. In 2022, plus 2.6, third. Last year, plus 3.9, first. Since coming into the NFL when he was drafted in 2019. He's been number 1 among all wide receivers, and this year, for whatever reason, plus 0.7. That is 38th, the lowest mark in his career. Let's do a real one roll call before we hop on out of here. If you were informed during today's show and you enjoyed today's show, give me a real one. We'll be live tomorrow, an hour and 15 minutes before that Niners Seahawks game. Can't wait to see you then.